Hi guys, I'm Matt from Cook on Cars. Welcome if you've never seen it before, and if you have seen me and you are following me, welcome as well. If you haven't, please do click the like and subscribe button. Lets me know that you're enjoying the stuff that we're putting out there for you. Now, tonight, a special. This is an exclusive two-parter with an interview from Pete and his bus, the legendary YouTube channel. So why not grab a cup of something warm, have a drink, sit back and enjoy, because let me tell you something, this is a good one. To another episode of Cook on Cars. This one's a bit different because we're actually going to do something to do with buses, but it's still a vehicle. So hey, this is Pete here from
Hello there.
From Pete and his bus, the well-known, world famous YouTube series.
Yeah, I think you take it when you say that, but that's fine. We'll go with that.
We're up here on the top of your bus, and as you can see, it's a bit different to a standard double-decker. Pete's sitting in the standard original rear seat, and then we've got this funky furniture. And obviously Pete uses it for events because it's actually a bus bar, isn't it, Pete?
Yeah.
So what are you going to tell us about it, mate? What would you say is...
What
made you do it, first of all, most importantly?
So I ran cafes in the past, and I had a class car meeting with one of the cafes. I always try and include something I enjoy with my work.
Yeah.
And I got really fed up with paying like rent rates and the bills that are attached to it, because you don't really get anything for it, and the rent was going up and the rates were going up and the energy bills were going up. So I thought I can do the same thing, but I can do it mobile. And I actually found a bus that was converted with a bar downstairs, serving to the outside, and like a cool lounge concept upstairs. I tried to buy it, but someone outbid me, and I think it was like in the region of 90 grand. And I had been quite polite. I thought I went in for sort of like 75, 80, and then I got outbid. Anyway, the people that ended up buying it are now my direct competition, but they're really cool. They've become friends. So I've seen that bus on a regular basis. And but my only option after that was to just build one myself. So
right.
I did.
Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. So where did you source the bus from?
I actually found it on Facebook, as you do with all things nowadays. Yeah. I know. It used to be eBay. eBay was like, I need an escutcheon, and you'd go on eBay and it'd be there, but now it's Facebook Marketplace. So I actually found it advertised on Facebook, on the Route Masters Association, have a Facebook page, and it was advertised on there. And I'd been to see a few, and a lot of them were really knackered. And what I didn't realise at the time, and it's pure naivety, is the fact that the elements cannot destroy a Route Master bus. They were built to last forever. So I went and saw a couple that were cheap, but they were really battered on the outside. And I thought, oh my God, this is damaged and I won't be able to sort it. In hindsight, I could have done it. So I spent a lot more money and bought one that was relatively good. And then I spent a lot more energy and time undoing all the work that had been done to it. So I should have actually just saved myself a lot of headache and bought a knackered one. Because it's only the paint that's knackered. They're made of aircraft aluminium, the whole thing, the frame, the skin, everything. And to take the skin off, it's like Lego. It just comes straight off and just stick it straight back on.
Yeah.
So that was a bit of a rookie mistake I made.
Yeah. So obviously I saw your first bus when you first bought it. And,
this one.
This one, which we're sitting in. Obviously we're not in the one that's being done, because that's still for the show. But yeah, I mean, it was a very good condition bus, actually, wasn't it?
It was all right. It wasn't amazing. I mean, it wasn't like anything like a show bus or a concourse thing, but it was a nice, presentable driver.
Yeah.
But the main thing that drew me to it was the fact that it had a Cummins diesel engine, because when the AEC engines gave up, or when most of them were replaced, which was in the early 90s, and most of them went to Iveco or a Garner engine, or some of them retained their AEC engines, but a lot of them got Cummins engines. And the good thing about Cummins is the engine itself isn't all that refined, but it does generate a bit more power than the others. And the beauty of Cummins is they're really a great company. They actually invest in their future, so their parts for this engine will be available from Cummins for the rest of time, and the parts are like really cheap. We did like, yeah, it's so good. Like from a company's point of view, like, I think they're just the best thing in the whole world. Yeah. We did like all the chains, and we had the pump rebuilt, and we had to buy O-rings and covers, like a box of parts, and the bill was less than 200 quid.
That's amazing.
So for me, because obviously I travel around with this bus to events, the Cummins engine is the one you want.
I was going to say, it's got to be also reliability.
Yeah.
And like you say, it's, you drive this all up and down the country, so you need it to be something that you can get parts for easy. You don't want something that's obsolete and you're waiting 6 months for a new head or something.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the Iveco one is also really good, and Iveco again are really good with parts and that. But it's just, you've got to be, it feels like you're strangling it all the time, because it just makes that little bit less power, which kind of makes it frustrating to drive. Whereas this, yes, it's slow and old, but it feels positive, like progressive. Yeah, like an old car can be slow, but if it feels,
you still can get on with it.
It's not as bad as, none of these are as bad as that Green Goddess that I had at one point.
Yeah, I mean, that was a
5 to the gallon. Five. That is, for people that didn't get that, that's 5. That's not 15. That's not. That's 5 to the gallon. Yeah. Petrol, 4.2 litre straight 6. Yeah. And 35 miles an hour, and you are flat out, foot to the floor. And it just, speaking of feeling positive, that was not it.
Yeah, and you drove that back, didn't you? For some of the way, obviously. If you watch the episode, you'll see what happened.
Yeah, so I can't remember what YouTube episode. Basically, I mean, obviously things like that aren't planned. I bought a vintage fire engine, and I thought I broke down on the motorway. It stopped moving. And then at that point I went, well, this is going to be a really expensive afternoon, so I might as well make the most of it and film it and get a YouTube film out of it. And turns out I just ran out of fuel.
Yeah, he's well proud of that.
Yeah, I ran out of fuel. Oh man, what's wrong with your fire engine? It stopped working. I ran out of fuel.
Yeah, it was that simple. Simple.
And I spent 1,000 quid getting it recovered.
Yeah. And that's the way to learn, isn't it?
You live and learn,
yeah. But it's gone off to a new place now, isn't it? Where's it gone off to?
Went to the West Country. So originally I bought it to convert for a big corporation as like a sort of an advertising vehicle, and also bar and catering. And it was, to be fair, that concept, I was really pleased with the way that looked. Yeah. It was going to be beautiful. It was for a company who are building houses on RAF sites, so they wanted something to do with the RAF, and all the RAF bases all had a Green Goddess.
Yeah, sure.
So it would have been a great concept, but COVID, and half of them got made redundant. So I ended up with a fire engine.
Yeah.
So, but some chappie came down, and he didn't even argue the price. He goes, "It's the best one I've seen. I'll take it." So off she went.
And I have to say, I've seen a lot at the car shows and stuff over the years, and it was one of the best I've ever seen as well.
It really was. So that company actually paid me a day rate to go and see it and inspect it. So if you're inspecting a vehicle for yourself, you almost go with the notion of, oh my God, I really want it. So you kind of just go, oh, I'll sort it, it'll be fine. Whereas if you get paid to go and inspect something, you have to do diligence. Yeah. So I went through the whole thing. Yeah. And the only thing I didn't check was the way the fuel gauge worked.
No, well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, needing to know the fuel economy does help. Doesn't it?
I put fuel in it, and the needle moved. So in my book, I think, well, the thing works. Yeah. But it just sort of did that, and then it went down a bit, but obviously the needle never really... anyway. Yeah. It was a really boring day.
No, that's the way you said that you used to run a cafe and everything. That's where I first met you, obviously. Back when you used to do your car show event every second Sunday of the month, wasn't it?
Yeah. So the first one was on the 9th of May, 2009.
It's a while ago now, isn't it?
God, it's a long time ago.
Yeah. And obviously you are crazy on all things motor vehicles, aren't you? Basically?
Oh yeah, man, I love it. And particularly, this is why I have a real problem with insurance, because like my girlfriend, for instance, she's a car dealer and she deals in sort of sub £5,000 hot hatches or little family cars. So that's like a bracket. So she can get her trade insurance for that bracket, right?
Yeah.
You're into like sporty retro classics.
Yeah.
You know, if you have loads of those, you can put that in a bracket. I love buses. I ride Vespas. I love Fiat 500s. I love Land Rovers. It's such a random mix.
Yeah.
No insurance company likes that very much.
No.
In fact, most of them use my name as a swear word.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, that's what I love about it. You're so varied in your collections and stuff.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
You know, you're not somebody who goes, like you say, I mean, I first met you, you had your Mini and you had your Fiat 500, and I was like, oh, he's into his little tiny classic
Yeah,
cars.
no, it's not true.
And it turns out, no, he's got buses, he's got, you know, like you say, you've got the Landy, that's a cracking Series 3 Land Rover you've got. And then obviously you've got Compo, who is our famous sidekick in your show, isn't he? Really?
Hey, there's only one word for that guy, and he's a well, no, so to explain, people kept telling me that to make a successful YouTube channel, and I'm not saying my channel is a success because it isn't, but people kept saying to me, to make a successful YouTube channel, you have to have more than one character in it because otherwise it becomes too focused on one person. And when I watch my own videos back, I'm always like, oh my god, it's the same talking again and again and again. So I thought, well, if I want to have another character, I'll make my motorbike a character. Yeah. So yeah, Compo, he's not very nice.
But he goes down well with the kids, doesn't he?
Yeah, man, he goes down well with the kids.
The music side of things that are in this, you do all the music yourself, don't you?
Oh yeah, it's a bit of, well, I don't, obviously not the background music. That's it's all YouTube library because otherwise you get into a whole world of copyright. That I've been there, and that's not.
Yes,
cool.
I was going to say.
But no, I went to the academy and did percussion, and then I had bass on the side, and then because there's never any bass players, I end up playing bass a lot for a lot of function bands. So so that I've always had some like musical element going on in my life, and actually I'm about to do some more because I haven't done any for ages. Only because it's so much work, and like we did like a little music thing in episode 10 where I used the bus as a drum kit, and it's like a dream sequence. It's really stupid, but I had so much fun making it. But that took 2 weeks
to film.
Yeah,
really, 2 weeks.
It's like 28 tracks.
Yeah,
layered on top of each other. Yeah,
and
it's like to get it all synced up. And it's so much work. So. But I have got to do some more. It is kind of fun, and it also it kind of sets the channel apart from other things. You know?
Yeah, sure.
There's a lot out.
The question has to be, obviously, is you've got this bus, you're doing up your other bus, which is going to be for more events, obviously. I suppose the plan is that you can do 2 different events at the same time. You obviously you'll need another driver, but you'll have 2 events. So, where next for Pete and his bus after the bus?
Well, I mean, it's not going all that fast because a lot of people on YouTube comment like, "Oh, I bet he's got a team of 15 that are doing all the work, and he's just passing
not China and
Mate, I am not that guy. So this, you know, yes, it's because I spend a lot of time editing the videos. It looks fairly smooth, and then people think, "Oh, he's got loads of people doing work for him." There is none of that. No one does any work for me. Sometimes I'm like, "Oh my god, I should get someone to do some work," because it's, you know, I don't only spend loads of time editing the film. I actually have to do the work on the bus as well. So and with COVID coming to an end, the events world is like gone like in overdrive. So I've been out with the bus all the time. But to answer your question, which was where next, I don't know. If I can get both buses out there working at the same time, which a lot of people don't realise, it's logistically it changes the game completely, because at the moment I am pretty much a one-man band. So where the bus is, I am, and that's it, right? But the second that you do a second one, you've got, first of all, you need another driver, so that's like an extra insurance policy. That bus needs to be insured. That's like an extra £1,000 a year, just that. And then you need to pay the driver. That's what, going to be £150, £200 a trip. Then you need to make sure that this driver doesn't smash it up, because they're really easy to damage because they're massive. And then when stuff goes wrong, I know all about these buses. That driver doesn't know anything about these buses. And then bar stuff, 2 bars, suddenly double that. So it kind of just completely changes the game up. So if I can get both of them out there, and if I can actually generate enough work for both of them to be out there, I'll be a very happy bunny. But I don't know what I'm going to do next. There is always another old vehicle to...
I was going to say, I'm sure you'll find something to do with, and it's got to be vehicle related, isn't it?
Yeah,
I mean, Pete and his speedboat, maybe. I don't know.
Pete Speedo. That's an
X-rated show.
That's a whole different show. One that no one is going to watch.
Exactly. No one's going to pay for that. Storage. You've obviously got this great storage unit.
Yeah.
But, I mean, do you find a lot of is it difficult to find storage for these things, because they are big, aren't they?
Yeah, it's pretty much impossible. Also, with the planning laws the way they are at the moment in this country, a lot of farm agricultural stuff is now very easy to convert for housing, and of course that's where profit is. So a lot of these buildings are being torn down.
Yeah.
Luckily, my barn is in an area of outstanding natural beauty. And so it doesn't. I think they had in the region of 11 attempts to change this for planning, and they were all turned down. And the last one was like a 90-page document, and I read it, and I was like, mate, this is never getting overturned. So I think, and the owners of the plot I'm on are really great, and they're like the guy has a really similar interest. He's into classic cars and stuff. So I don't think, for the time being, I think we're right. But I've always got one ear on the ground when it comes to storage units, because that's why most of these buses actually end up being sold, is because people's storage runs out. It's not, to run a bus like this isn't actually that expensive.
Yeah.
So don't tell any of my clients, but my bus does 15 to the gallon, which compared to the fire engine, that's like, that's like loads.
Yeah.
But the biggest reason why these things change hands is because people's storage runs out. And storage is expensive. It could cost you £150 a month to store a bus.
Yeah.
And then they sit for ages and they won't start. So then you're just paying the storage for something that doesn't work. So that's usually the main reason why things go.
I was just saying, like you said, like with that second bus was outside for years, because obviously they didn't know anywhere to store it. They just left it in a car park, didn't they, or something? Was it?
It was behind a pub. Yeah. So it was behind a pub when I found it. Then my mechanic, Lord Barrington, and I moved it to the location where we then filmed where it sat. So that's actually a bit of knowledge that actually no one realizes, that in the video we just demonstrated that's where we found it. But there was actually a move before it, I think 2.5 years before it, and I had no plans to film anything at that point, so I never got any footage out. So rather than explaining all that, we just filmed it as if it was found right there. But all the facts that I reel off, and all the numbers and all that, it's all correct. It was outside for almost 10 years. For the first 7 of those years, it never ran.
Yeah.
We got it going, but again, it shows you the engineering and the robustness of these vehicles. That after 7 years sitting outside, I think it took Tim 15 minutes to get it started,
which is amazing.
Yeah. It needed like a new quill drive, which is the drive that powers the brakes. It needed new injectors. It needed loads of stuff, but it started, and it drove forward and backwards, so without brakes. Don't drive a bus without a brake, kids.
But you're right. No, it's amazing that it's, like you say, the engineering on these things is just fantastic. Because, it can sit for that long and just start up. Yeah. No problems.
Yeah. The only thing that always goes is the paintwork, so they end up looking like they are. I mean, they look kind of cool when they're all derelict and like messed up and stuff. Yeah. But really, but don't tell anybody, right? Because they're going to go and buy all the buses. Because if you see one that's really like messed up and like all overgrown and green, like a jet wash and a bit of sandpaper and then some red paint, pretty much makes it a new bus.
Unless, of course, you peak and you paint it mid-red.
Mid-red!
Decide that mid-red will do for a good, I don't know, what was it, 8 months or something it stayed mid-red for?
Yeah, that wasn't by choice, dude. And also, if you look in the corner of your screen, right about there, you can see that the mid-red is no longer.
Mid-red.
It is now actually London red, from London.
Yeah, no longer mid-red at all. London red.
People haven't watched my channel like, what?
So yeah, you guys, so if you haven't seen Pete and his bus, it's a program on YouTube about a guy and his bus.
And if you're not over 75 years old, you're not going to be into it.
Yeah, basically the reason why I've decided to do something about this, obviously, doing an interview with Pete, is because the classic cars he does every week, the first, like, what is it, about 2 minutes?
Minute and a half.
Yeah, so he has a different classic car every week, so it's worth watching just for that, to be honest with you. And Pete's show is actually very entertaining. It's a different look on how to restore a bus. it's not like, you know, your standard Wheeler Dealers episode or Chasing Classic Cars or something like that where they do a bit of restoration. Pete actually gets down and, you know, you see little things he's doing, and it's nice because it flows quite well. And even if you're not into buses or not into car stuff, there's comedy in it, it's good. There's lots of different things that actually I think it works quite well. It's a nice little show. It's about 20 minutes an episode, so it's a nice thing to watch.
That's very kind of you, Matt. He does make it sound really good.
No, it's a good show. I think it's very good. Anyway, cool, what I was going to ask you is obviously, where did your first love of cars and all vehicles and stuff come from? What was the first event you had in your life that made you go, oh, I like this?
Well, I think, like, you know, I mean, just like you being a boy, you know, you like cars. And I think that's cool. And, but it started with so I grew up in Holland. And the bloke across the street from my parents' old house there, not directly across the street, but like around the corner, and he had a house with a detached garage,
right? And
he had an old, like a classic Fiat 500,
right?
And I think I was 9 at the time, and you know, as a child, when you convince yourself, so I had completely convinced myself that I was going to go and buy a Fiat 500 because I wanted one so badly, and like in my own world, like, and I was telling all my friends at school, I was like, yeah, I'm going to buy a Fiat 500. And they're like, oh my God, how are you going to pay for this? Like, oh, well, yeah, well, you know, I've got like 7 birthday monies together. You know, and it's just complete and utter. But in my little 9-year-old mind, I was dead set, or I was really dead set on buying this Fiat 500. And I don't know what it was about the car. So then I wouldn't stop yapping on about it. So my mum, she was brilliant. So when we were kids and we were into things, my mum would always just like do research on it and like get us stuff. So she rang the Fiat 500 Owners Club, and she asked if I could become a member. And they're like, oh, it's a bit of a problem because, you know, he doesn't have a car. And she's like, no, it's not that he doesn't have a car. He doesn't even have a driving license. He's 9 years old. And he's like, oh, okay, fine. Well, we can make him an honorary member. You know, she goes, and he goes, we do have to charge a fee. But with the fee came like a booklet and stickers.
And that's what you wanted.
So at that age, I was blown away. But I was like, this is not the best thing in the whole world. So 21 years later, I actually bought the Fiat 500 in the UK, which is a car I still have. Which is featured on the channel a few times. She's a bit damaged at the moment, but she'll be repaired soon. So I think I've had the car since 2009, so even before then. So I've had it for a long time. So that's how it started. And then from one thing, it's like a disease, isn't it? You buy one old car and you're like, this is so cool. And you're well, actually, I also really like these. And so I've had Jaguars and Minis and all sorts. So it's just sort of started from there.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, well, I mean, like I say, I'm pretty similar. I mean, I was 3 years old and my neighbour had a Porsche. And bought a brand new 911 he bought. And he said to my dad, do you want to go out for a spin in it? And he said, well, Matt will want to come too.
That's it.
Off I got in the back, sat in the sort of parcel shelf, and off I went. So you got your Fiat 500, you tick that box. I'm assuming this is a car that you're planning to keep till the day you die, sort of thing. This is keeper,
I mean, it doesn't owe me anything, but also I then, because old cars go wrong, and I then started repairing it and getting it wrong a lot too. But like, it's those essential moments where you learn stuff, you know, like
setting the points and stuff.
Well, this old boy said to me, I said to him, I've got this old car and it's not working, and he goes, well, whenever an old car doesn't work, its Achilles heel is ignition. And it's ignition. It's like a golden moment in my life. Whoa, okay, I'm going to try and fix that. And when I fixed something, the car works. And I was like, whoa, my God, I can fix stuff. So, and then it's like, let's see what else is broken. So it's little moments like that. And it was all on that car where I learned. So, and also I find, because it's a bit philosophical now, but life is short. So, and the bits you pick up in that short time that we're here, that you kind of get attached to them really quickly, I find. So so that car is something I'll never sell. And also in the future, because you get into a modern car now and you forget how much the game has moved on. I remember my brother-in-law was complaining about the fact that his adaptive cruise control wasn't working, and he was whinging. I was like, what even is that? My car doesn't have cruise control. You know, it's like, yeah, it does have cruise control. It works like this. It's like that. It's like, oh yeah, and we're cruising. Oh no, we're not. Oh yes, we are. Do you know what I mean? It's like, and I want my children to learn to drive in a real car, like change gear, and like, no, don't do it at that speed because you'll ruin the gearbox.
Yeah.
Not like, oh, my car has a software issue, please download the latest ECU model. You know what I mean? Like, that's just, it's rubbish. So yeah.
No, I completely agree with you, mate. I mean, it's you know, classic cars. I think really at the end of the day, everyone should drive one. It makes you respect other people on the road.
Yeah, I mean, some old people, they ain't going to drive classic
cars. No. But you know what I mean? The old people did, because they had them before, mate.
Yeah, I'm pretty old.
But don't forget, they originally had them when they weren't classics.
Yeah. This is not a classic car, this is just a car.
Exactly.
Maybe I'm a classic person. Yeah.
But no, you know, it's a different driving experience, isn't it? You're more aware of everything. I mean, the idea of being able to, not that you should, but people who think that they can, you know, they're in their modern BMW and they can read a text message when they're driving along. You can't do that in a classic car, because if you look down for a split second...
Yeah, you shouldn't do that in any car.
Not that you should do it ever, but you know, those sort of things, you can't be doing, you know. It's hard enough trying to talk on a hands-free kit in a classic car, because
the engine's so noisy you can't hear it. I actually got pulled over in the bus. I hear my own brain think, let alone a phone. I actually suffered with like slight anxiety every time I had to get in this thing and drive it. Right, it's next to a river and it's really beautiful and we want your bus right there. It's like, yeah, you're in the middle of a fucking forest. How am I going to drive my bus down there? And they chopped the tree down. I've only ever gotten in trouble with a low bridge one, a stinking, great, smoking, dolphin beating, seal pup smashing, bird raping, diesel stinking bus. All the people that are like having problems with commuting into central London, get a classic car. You can drive straight into central London. Clive, what are you doing? And that takes me to Alphas, because Alphas are all beautiful. Ideally, I'd like to launch an episode every sort of 2 weeks, but hey, it's just impossible.
Yeah.